I think that we can all safely agree after what happened to me last year
Mhm.
that even I can't perfectly judge who to trust and who not to trust. I mean,
Right.
you're basically asking a question that's right in alignment with what I'm trying to answer myself. I don't know that I have a perfect answer for that.
Right. And for people that say that you are a cult leader or a guru, what is your response to that?
I mean, I always want to understand people's definition of those things because when people throw out terms like that, it's like it means something completely different to this person than to this person. So it's like
Mhm.
if somebody's like gonna sort of throw that accusatory statement at me, I'd be like, okay, and what does it mean to be a cult leader? What does that mean? Because like if you broke it down to leader of an organization, okay, yes. But if you were to break it down to, creates control tactics to keep people in and huge consequences for them leaving, no.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that is very true. I mean, for some people, it has such a negative connotation, like a David Koresh who ended up killing everybody that believed in him, right? But then there are some people that are, gym goers and they love their yoga instructor. That's their guru, right? And it just helps them find some center and peace in their life. So you're right. I think the question is about who it's coming from. Um, Okay, so you have some detractors that have an issue with the way that you show up for them. You mentioned that a little bit earlier when I asked you a question, and I think it's actually very interesting. You're a spiritual leader. You would think you're sitting around in like a cardigan drinking tea. Oh, I say that as you're taking a sip of tea, um, but like by a fire, very calm.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you are hot, and you look like you could have been a dominatrix a couple years ago with your gorgeous hair. Like what? I mean, you just don't show up for people the way I think that a lot of people expect their spiritual leader to. And I wonder if you think that makes them, I don't know if jealous is the word, threatened. What do you think that is?
I think they disqualify me because of it. I mean, people already come into things expecting how a person looks. Is not very much different with a doctor, though. I mean, if somebody was going to walk in the room and their doctor looked like a 13-year-old, they would have the same like, no, 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 because they've already got a preconceived
Mm.
notion of who they want to learn from and what that person needs to be like, and it's like a whole list of shoulds before they're going to consider you as valid, right? And yeah, I
Right,
don't fit any of those criteria, nor did I plan to before coming down here.
right. Do you think your sex appeal or being a woman makes it more difficult for you?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, that's kind of the joke that I love telling because people are like, "God, she has so much following probably because she's pretty," and I'm like, "You guys don't even understand how much all of those things have been a hindrance." I mean, if I wear anything less than this, it's like, "Oh, she's using her sexuality to attract following." Like, I mean, it feels like you literally can't win, and man, I mean, when
Well, if it helps them, who gives a shit how you get your followers? I mean,
well it frustrates me because, of course, like, I'm wanting people to understand, the value of the content that I teach, and it's very difficult for people to go there when they don't want somebody who has good content to look like me,
right, right. So you're saying it takes your credibility away sometimes
like a
with
lot,
people.
like a whole lot.
Okay, so I am going to ask you about this. A lot has been made on your view on suicide and
Yeah.
glorifying death, so to speak. I want to give you a chance to clear up any misconceptions about that statement.
I'm running a very difficult, you know, business here and I'm in a difficult position because as a spiritual teacher, one of the things that's most important for me to talk about is death, right? Death is something which we're all going to face in our lifetime, not only because of us dying, but losing things that we love. There's a temporary aspect to the nature of life. I also have a lot of information on death, things like that.
Mm.
It's not going to be helpful for human beings to have such an adversarial relationship with death. For death to me, the ultimate horror, and yet it's something that all of us will deal with, is not healthy. People seem to come along with me on that so far as to understand that if I'm dealing with somebody who, say, lost a loved one, and I talk to them about what it is like to die and the greater purpose of death in the context of life, they are like, "Oh yeah, that's fine."
Mm.
But what people have done is decided that there's all kinds of right ways to die and right times to die and all kinds of wrong ways to die and wrong times to die. That's why we have a different reaction to somebody who's 15 dying than we do to somebody who is, 90. We almost have a blasé attitude towards a 90-year-old. We're like, "She was just old." Okay. So, what I need people to understand first is this incredibly dichotomous relationship we have with death to start with, right? That makes it very, very difficult because I feels like in my career, I'm walking on this tightrope trying to navigate other people's ideas of rightness and wrongness around death.
Mhm.
So this whole thing, like a lot of this whole thing around, me and my stance on suicide started back very early in my career when, I was sharing truths about the universe that I don't think people were ready to hear or that they made mean certain things. Like I'll give you an example. Early on in my career, I made a very bold statement on a stage when I said that every death is a suicide. Why? Because your non-physical and physical aspect have to both decide upon death. And if there's a disagreement here, you're going to watch somebody slip into a coma or something like that.